rise or close.
Okay.
Is it a restaurant beside or no?
Did you pay for your tickets already? No. Okay, how many you like? One. Okay, that's $40. That's the ticket he had gave. Okay, that's a couple. I'm fine. Yeah. Hi, Sharon Robinson Briggs. Okay, and you're supposed to pay for it? Yeah, I have a check for, I think, 3 acts. It was here. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. My sister will be coming, but doesn't matter what she does. No, she just changed it. All right, thank you. Do you all want to sign it? Should I just put you on? Yeah, you can just do those. Okay, we can collect that ticket. Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. May I please have your first and last name? Could you spell your last name and your title?
Sharon Robinson Briggs, ROBINSON -BRIGGS.
Okay. And Ms. Briggs, could you tell me what organization are you with?
I'm with 2 organizations, actually. I'm currently president of the Plainfield area branch of the NAACP, and I'm president of another little organization known as the Festival Association of Plainfield.
Ms. Briggs, what are your thoughts this evening on the work of Salam Ismail and the United Youth Council?
Well, I'll tell you, my hat's off to Salam. He's a wonderful gentleman. My parents taught me quite a few things, and I'm very proud of that. But Salam taught me how to become immersed in the struggle, the things that I needed to do as not only as a woman, but as a black woman, and how you go about doing certain things for the community. I'll tell you, it wasn't until It wasn't until I met Salam that I became very much involved in different marches, Dr. Martin Luther King's annual marches with him. Also, we marched on the past Governor Florio's mansion down in Princeton. You might remember through the years the matters with the police brutality with Yusef Hawkins out of Teaneck. I think the Hanna family, I think that's the name of the family, Hanna family out of Plainfield. Sharon Mays, the young teenager, I think she was 16, sitting in a van on the outskirts of between Newark and Hillside, and the police opened fire on her and killed her. There were several events that took place. When that stops? Okay.
Let's have the short end.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Okay.
There were several events that took place that Salam called on me, and I was very happy to participate with him. You know, so he's done quite a bit for the community, even on an educational side. He's very involved with the Edison Job Corps, and a lot of people don't know that aspect of Salam. He brought me in as one of the counselors for, Jim Brown has a group called the Americana Academy. Okay, and we were involved in their educational summit at the Edison Job Corps. So there are a lot of things that he has done, you know, some quietly, some in the public, but he has really been a big factor in helping out the community.
Now, we're here to honor Salam, and this is a retirement dinner. In your heart of hearts, do you think that he will be comfortable in retirement? What do you think his future plans would be?
Well, I can tell you what he told me. When I got the invitation in the mail that said retirement dinner, I called him immediately. What do you mean retirement? You never retire. Then I wrote him a letter saying, you're in for life, that's it. So he called me and he said, I'm not dying, I'm not dead, I'm not walking away, but you know, he needs to slow down a little bit, but I think he's still going to be very much involved. He doesn't realize it. He'll never retire. Never.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Particularly since he has experience to train some of them to do the human rights and civil rights work. So I think that if that's his choice, we support it, though we will certainly be counseling him every step of the way.
involved in this thing called the movement at the behest of my mom, who was in the movement in the late 50s and 60s and what have you, and kind of like inducted me into this task. She picked me over 8 boys and 3 girls. Half of them say I'm crazy. But when I got involved in this thing, my mother told me it was a calling. I didn't volunteer. I didn't see it as something I could get a whole lot of gain from. But one day I woke up and I found myself leading this thing. Then I woke up again, 20 years later, instructed me to do something else. I'm concerned about young folks throughout this country who are going astray. I'm not just talking about black youth or inner city youth. I'm talking about young people throughout America. It's probably in the worst situation ever. And when we started our organization, United Youth Council, in 1982, our goal was to address youth issues. Then, and I'll probably repeat this later on, then when we started hearing about our young people being at the brunt of police guns and being discriminated and being abused by various people in the community, we decided to build an arm, a civil rights arm, 14 years ago. So I became that committee chair of that arm, and we began to affiliate ourselves with groups across the state, and I organized.
How do you go about now?
Reverend, I wanted to ask you, when you think of Salam Ismail and the work that he's done over these past few years, what are some of the things that come to your mind?
Well, I think Salam has worked in a very committed and unselfish way at a time that many people in our generation, he and I only 3 years apart in age, had given up on the movement. We came right after the major wave of Dr. King and others. And most people in our generation ended up in jail on drugs, had given up, had stopped fighting. And he was one of the few that kept fighting, that kept the torch burning. And now the next generation that is now connected in, and you hear them talking about Malcolm, and you hear them talking about Dr. King, is because people like Salam kept that alive. The intention was that it would die after the generation ahead of us. So in New Jersey and around the Northeast, if it had not been for Salam Ismail, there would have been no movement. There would have been no accountability on police brutality, on corporate racism, for blacks and whites, for civil rights. So in many ways, he was the link from the civil rights era to the hip-hop era. Controversy and Dewar not getting nearly his worth. Imagine if he was doing this in the corporate world, how wealthy he could have become. Imagine if he'd used the same ingenuity in the private sector, the stature he would have gotten. He used it for the people, and his reward has not been the same materially, but it has been greater in terms of his impact and his legacy, which is why you have all kinds of people, from young people to mayors, everybody, coming to honor him tonight.
What advice would you give to Salam as he enters this new phase in his life?
Well, I think he ought to build on his successes. He ought to first thank God for sparing him, because he went through many dangers seen and unseen. And that he can now try and pass on to the next generation his experiences, while he is still a very young man and embarks on another level of service. And he can do it now with the knowledge of that he has the support of so many people. And he has a lot more wisdom and knowledge and experience now than he had than when he started many years ago. The advantage of young activists is they have the energy. The advantage of more seasoned activists is they have the experience. And he has the experience at a time he's still young enough to have the energy to pursue new goals and to establish a legacy. The comfort he has is no matter what will happen, history would be incomplete if they didn't include his name.
Finally, I have one last question to ask you.
So kind of like let them know we'll be in 2 seconds.
Testing 1, 2, testing. Okay. Is there any one thing that you wish that you could have changed in any of the things that you became involved with?
Well, you know, in everything you fought, every case, every issue, you could always think later about what you could have done differently, what you could have done better. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't feel that way, then you're incomplete. Because if you're content that everything you did the best way it could have been done, then you never really grew and you never really understood. So there are a lot of things that I could have done differently in retrospect. But the real conviction I have is I know I did the best I could at the time. And that's all that God requires. Even if down the road you see different things that you could have done differently, you know you didn't see it then, so whatever mistakes you made out of the mind and not the heart, because your intention was there. And then the other thing, and this really applies to Salam, that people don't understand, is that most of the moves we make in the midst of great stress and great danger. And you're trying to move the agenda forward and protect yourself and the people with you at the same time. And it's not a very easy balancing act to do. Most people at football games are in the stands. They're not on the field. If you get on the field, you may get tackled. You're going to get your uniform dirty. But only those on the field can score a touchdown. And when you score, it doesn't matter how many times they knock you down if you got the ball over the line.
Thank you very much, Reverend Sharp. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
What's been your to Reverend Al Sharpton, what's been your most rewarding
Hi again.
experience?
At this time, I'd like to ask our mayor to come up and share a few words with us.
It's only Cablevision's microphone, so. Reverend Sharpton, Salam Ismail, members of the United Youth Council, Councilman Gilbert from Hillside. It's a great honor to be here to help say a few nice words about Salam Ismail. I first met Salam, as many of you know, back in the early 1980s with Ralph when they originally formed the Elizabeth Youth Council. And I was a councilman in the 5th Ward in the city of Elizabeth. And working with Salam and Ralph and many others for a lot of things to happen in the ward in which I represented. I never forget the day when we were doing some things and I ran into Carrie Thomas. And Carrie says to me, you know, Salam's been talking an awful lot about you. I thought I had another son. So, and every time Salam and I would disagree, I say, Salam, do me a favor, go ask your mother what she thinks about this. And Salam will tell me, I can't ask my mother, Chris, because she's going to side with you. So, you know, we've shared a lot of good years together, Salam and Ralph and the United Youth Council, Elizabeth Youth Council, and as we cap off his career here with this testimonial dinner, we should remember that his efforts in working on behalf of people in our community